Hey guys, in this project we're going to be building a pretty simple website from the front end. It's going to have a home page, a couple inner pages, and a contact form. But in the back end we're going to be using obviously Node.js. But what I really want to focus on this project is Express, which is a third-party module for Node.js. It's an entire MVC framework, so it'll serve pages. We can define our routes, we can interact with databases, all that stuff, create our own objects. If you're looking at an open source Node.js site, there's a pretty good chance that Express is installed. It's that popular. Okay, so we'll be using it in most of our projects. So what I want to do here is I want to not only create the website, but I want to create kind of a template for us to work with as far as the HTML goes. I want to just use a simple bootstrap template. We're going to be using Jade, which is the default HTML helper or engine for Express, and it uses a little bit of a different syntax than standard HTML. There's no tags, we're using indentation. So let me just actually open up a notepad file. Okay, so normally we would have, let's say, div class equals container, and then in that class we'd have a, let's say, a paragraph, and in that paragraph we'd have a link. Oops. Alright, so with Jade, if we wanted to do this, we would do dot container, because it's a class, and whatever we want in that, if we want something in it, then we need to do an indent, okay? Either a tab or a space, but not both. Then we would have our paragraph, which would have our link in it. So we do paragraph, and then, why won't it? And then if we want the link inside the paragraph, we would do this, okay, another indent. If we just did it like this, then the link would be on the same level as the paragraph. Alright, so it would basically be like this. Alright, so if you want something inside of something, you need to just indent it like that. Alright, so it may be, oh, and I should also mention attributes. For instance, the link has an href attribute. You would use parentheses next to it, and the name of the attribute, and then the value. Okay, and you could do multiple attributes as well if you wanted to do like rel equals no follow or something like that. Alright, so that's the basic syntax with Jade. Alright, so let's get started, and we're going to install Express. Okay, so we want to go to our git bash. If you don't want to navigate from within the command line, you can actually just go to where you want to go. Alright, so I want to go to my C drive, projects, and I want to be, I'll go back, I want to be in the projects folder, so I will right click that and then just click git bash, and that'll bring us right there. Alright, now to install Express, we need to first install it globally on our system, and we can do that using npm install, and we want to use the G flag here for global Express. Alright, I also want to install the Express generator, and that's going to take care of generating the framework folders for us in the files. So to do that, we can do npm install G generator. I'm sorry, Express generator. Alright, so now that that's installed, we can generate an application. So while in your projects folder, you want to do Express and then the name of your application. In this case, I'm just going to call it Express website. Alright, so that created all these folders and files for us. If we go to projects, you can see we now have an Express website folder with all the core files and folders. Now, even though we installed Express globally, we need to install it into our application. And if we click on the manifest file here, JSON, you can see we have the name of the application, the version. I'm just going to change that to a 1. And then here is all the dependencies. These are all the modules that we want to install. All right, and by default, it's going to include Express and Jade for us. I want to add one more to this list, and it's going to be the Node Mailer module. Okay, so we can use the contact form. And I don't know the latest version, so what we can do here is just put in an asterisk, and it'll replace that with the latest version. So we can save that and exit out of that, and then go back. Make sure you go into your project folder, and then just run npm install, and that'll install every dependency that you included in that file. So if we go back to the folder now, a project folder, you can see we have Node modules, which has Express, it has Jade, Node Mailer, and some other needed modules for Express to run correctly. Alright, so before I actually run this, because it's pretty much just a really bare bones application that can actually run, I want to show you this app.js file, which is the main gateway to our application. Alright, so up here at the top, we're just requiring every module that we need to, and I just want to add one more here for Node Mailer. Okay, so Node Mailer equals require Node Mailer. Alright, and then after that we're defining our routes. Okay, so we're setting this routes variable to the index route. Okay, so routes/index, which you'll see is right here. Now they also give us this users, and that's just basically an example. We're not going to be using users. And then here we're instantiating the Express object itself into a variable called app. And then down here we're setting up or specifying our HTML engine or views engine. In this case it's Jade. And then down here is a bunch of what's called middleware. It's just small programs that need to run to, for instance, parse our HTML, the body parser, JSON parser, and then down here we're just going to define the routes that we did up here. Okay, so index and users. Right here we're saying if you're in the home page, which is just represented with just a slash, it's going to call this routes variable, which is defined up here as the index. This line is saying that we want the public folder, the folder name public, to be the static, where we put our static pages. So that's where like CSS files, JavaScripts, things like that. I'll show you if we go to public. This is where style sheets, JavaScript, images. Alright, and then down here is just some error handling, nothing we really need to worry about right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to run the application. Now you used to just say node and then the name of the gateway file, which would be app.js or even just app, but with Express 4 you can see in the manifest we have this scripts object right here, and that's set to be start. Alright, so we can actually start it by saying npm start. Alright, so that means that it's running, and the default port is going to be 3000. So if we go back, whoops, this shouldn't be here yet. If we go and go to localhost 3000, there's our home page. Okay, that's just the default landing page for Express. So we know everything is set up correctly. Now what I want to do is implement just a standard Bootstrap template using Jade syntax that we can reuse in future projects. Basically just a standard Bootstrap layout with a nav bar. Alright, so if we go to let's see, views, this is where our Jade files are. Basically, the layout.jade is the core HTML where you have the doc type, HTML tag, the head, body, things like that. And we'll also put a nav bar in here. And then everything else is kind of a subview. Index is basically just has a heading and a paragraph, which is what we see on the home page. But this right here, extends layout, is just making it so that this wraps around the index page. Okay, the index page is being included right here in block content. Alright, you also need to use block content in your subview files. Alright, and then there's just an error, which isn't really necessary right now. So what I want to do is this layout I want to change to basically be a Bootstrap Bootstrap code, HTML, written in Jade. Alright, so if we go to getbootstrap.com and download Bootstrap, okay, we'll open that up, and we want to go to our public folder and style sheets, and then we can just take the bootstrap.css and bring that over. Same thing with the JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript, bring this one over. And the fonts folder we should bring over as well. Put that in the public directory. Whoops. Okay, so now that we have the framework, we just need to do our Jade files. Okay, so what I want to do is go to Get Bootstrap and go to Examples and this template right here. Okay, if we do a Control U, we can see the source code, and I'm just going to grab that. And I don't want to paste this in our file. I'm just going to paste it in a new text file. Okay, because I want to do a few things before we actually convert it. Okay, so let's see. We don't need this description or author or favicon. We don't need anything. Let's see, we want that. We don't need any of this. Okay, and then down here I want the nav bar and the container, but I don't need any of this. And then down here we don't need this. We want the Bootstrap JavaScript. Actually, we need to change these paths. So up here for the Bootstrap CSS, we want to get rid of, actually I want to get rid of all this, and that should say style sheets / bootstrap.css. And then here we'll have our custom one, which will be style sheets / style.css. And down at the bottom we have our jQuery reference, which we want to keep, and we're going to just delete this, change this path to JavaScript / bootstrap.js. Okay, so that's the HTML version of our starter template. Now what we need to do is convert this to Jade. So I'm going to include this version in your program files as well. But what I'm going to do is copy this, and I'm going to go to, there's a few different Jade converters online. Yeah, so right here, if I paste that in, Okay, and then click the arrow. Actually, that's not, I don't want to use these pipes or anything. You know what, I'm going to type it out just so you can really get a hang of the syntax, because if I just paste it in, you might not learn as much. So let me see. So title, let's just have that Express website. Okay, so we want our meta tags up here. So meta, and actually I'm going to paste these in because they're kind of a pain to write, to type. Okay, now we need to make sure our indents are correct. If you're using Sublime, make sure down here, oh, I don't even have it. You need to have one of these selected, either spaces or tabs. I usually use tabs, but I've been getting a lot of errors, so I'm going to actually use spaces. And if I save this, all right, good, still works. Let's see, we have the link to the style.css, but we don't have a link to Bootstrap, so let's copy that. And this title shouldn't even be here. This description shouldn't be here. I didn't mean to put that in. All right, so we'll turn this first one into bootstrap.css, and let's just see. All right, so you can see the font's changed in the padding and stuff, so that means that the Bootstrap CSS is now included. And that's really it for the head area. So in the body, we're going to need our nav bar. So I'm actually going to paste that in as well. Alright, and let me save that. Alright, so there's our nav bar, and if you want to take a look at the code, okay, we have our classes up here. Okay, nav bar default is going to make it the white background. It's going to be fixed to the top. Then we have a container, and there is the nav bar header. We have all the collapsible button for when it's when the screen's smaller and it's responsive. Okay, so that's actually not working, I think, because we don't have the JavaScript included yet. So let's do that now. Let me just see this real quick. So this is where we included the JavaScript, so I'm going to paste that in at the bottom. Okay, and of course this is Jade markup. Okay, so there's our jQuery, there's our Bootstrap.js. If I save that and go back here and reload, okay, there's our menu. And I just put web agency in here. It doesn't really matter. It's not the actual website that I want you to pay attention to, the design or anything. It's just the functionality. So I think that's good for a starter template. Let's see. Let's change web agency to Express website. Oh, and I should probably explain this. Actually, no, I'll do that in the next video. I just wanted to get something that we could use and reuse for a template for this and for other projects. Alright, so we have our HTML, we have the nav bar, and this block content, that's where all of the subviews are going to be displayed. For instance, this index view. Okay, this content right here is coming from the index view. Alright, so that's it. In the next video, we'll take a look at routes, and we'll add our homepage content and things like that. So I will see you in the next video.